is CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Sanjay Maru. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the story of an extraordinary day of generosity. More than $60,000 raised and more than 150,000 food items collected for the annual Cans for a Cause event at Devonshire Mall. CTV's Travis Fortnum leads us off tonight.
From before sunrise to well after dark, Windsor showed up. Volunteers from Bell Media, its radio stations, and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul spent more than 16 hours collecting food and cash at Devonshire Mall for the annual Cans for a Cause fundraiser. And this year, it was a record breaker. More than 150,000 cans were donated, along with a record amount of cash, all headed to help families facing food insecurity across Windsor, Essex.
Last year I thought it was great. This year is even greater. It's just amazing. You know, and the need is so great.
Bernie Hamlin, the Society's treasurer, says even with that massive haul, the need remains urgent.
The stuff we collected today is only going to last for a couple of months. So yeah, the money is so important.
The Society says food donations collected today will only carry them through to March. A stark reminder of just how many people are relying on food banks right now. Jennifer Wilson, vice president of the organization, says she's in awe of the generosity of the community in times when money is a little tighter for everyone.
It's just been absolute medicine for my soul to see the joy on everybody's face when they drop by.
She says any amount can make a huge difference.
You know what? $1, $2 that you can donate, we parlay that into 4 times its value with our purchasing power. So whatever you can do, every penny makes a difference right now to us.
For Hamlin, who's been part of the Society for more than 2 decades, the day never loses its meaning.
It's like an early Christmas for me. I just love doing this and to see the people respond and helping us out.
Merry Christmas!
While Cans for a Cause may only come once a year, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul says donations are needed year-round because for thousands of Windsor families, the need never stops. Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
A firm no today from Ontario Premier Doug Ford on the idea of selling the province's $80 million inventory of U.S. booze and giving the money to charity. A few days ago, Ford said he needed to talk to the province's Liquor Control Board, or the LCBO, about the idea.
Well, we aren't going to do that. This is President Trump that's trying to attack our economy. He's trying to take jobs. And really, the wine industry in Ontario has seen a 79% increase. This is helping Ontario with jobs and people with jobs. And until he makes a deal, a fair deal for Canada and Ontario, the answer is absolutely not. So we want to protect Ontario jobs. And Donald Trump's trying to take every job he possibly can off us, and I'll never stop fighting for the people of Ontario.
Manitoba, PEI, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador have all sold some of their American alcohol for charity. Meanwhile, the Canadian Pharmacists Association is warning of the dangers of Americans purchasing increasing amounts of medications in Canada. CTV's Pauline Chan reports.
Americans have been coming across the border to Canada and Mexico for years, seeking cheaper medications. But recently, there's been a worrisome development.
What we've noticed more recently, of course, is that some states have developed these programs that are a little bit more bulk purchase-like. So they're not fully, state endorsed, but there's employers who are doing it.
And the concern is that bulk purchases like that could adversely affect Canadian medication supplies and aggravate shortages. Some types of medications most commonly affected by cross-border purchasing include diabetes and weight loss drugs like insulin and GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic or Wegovy, biologics, and oncology drugs. A recent study shows almost 60% of Americans suspect or even knowingly buy their medications from outside the U.S., especially from Canada.
People look to Canada because we have the similar drugs, but we also have a very safe and well-known pharmacy system.
Walker points to BC, which is able to track where drugs like Ozempic are going.
There was quite a significant amount going through a couple of pharmacies in BC down to the U.S.
It's technically not allowed, says Walker, but other provinces don't have systems to track purchasers. The Canadian Pharmacists Association would like to see the ability to track purchasers' data in all provinces.
Enforcement still remains a little bit of a difficult topic, primarily because Canadian pharmacies are regulated and the profession is regulated by regulatory authorities in each province. But if you're acting outside of that and you're not a licensed pharmacist or you're not a licensed pharmacy, technically the colleges don't really have a way to regulate you.
It adds that U.S. purchasers not only drain resources from Canadian patients, they also put an administrative burden on Canadian pharmacists and doctors as we struggle to find alternative medications. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Several junior hockey players are hurt after their bus went off a snowy and icy highway in Alberta this morning. 16 passengers and the bus driver were on board the bus, which went into a ditch on a highway of Athabasca and crashed among trees. 2 players with the Athabasca Rivermen were taken to hospital in Edmonton to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Others reporting minor injuries and were treated at the scene. RCMP say the players on the bus were 15 to 19 years old.
So the weather was about minus 37 degrees Celsius. The roads were iced over, and there was also blowing snow, which caused a lot of that ice to be covered. So anything that looked like just normal snowpack, the snow would clear up, and next thing you knew, you were on a patch of ice. And that is what we believe happened with the bus. We don't believe that speed or alcohol were a factor in this. It's really just so far due to inclement weather.
The Windsor-Essex County Humane Society and the city's Community Housing Agency are launching a new mobile veterinary program aimed at helping vulnerable families keep their pets healthy. As CTV's Chris Campbell shows us, the pilot program comes 1 year after a deadly parvo outbreak in the Glengarry area claimed the lives of several dogs.
This is a great first step in how we can target communities, the most vulnerable communities that need that assistance.
The Windsor-Essex County Humane Society, in partnership with the Windsor-Essex Community Housing Corporation, has launched a new mobile veterinarian program, bringing pet care directly to the community. The goal, to break down barriers and improve access to care.
We're eager to get going.
We're excited. We want to get as many residents and their furry friends available and get the treatment, preventative or otherwise, that dogs and cats could receive now.
The pilot launching for CHC neighborhoods Monday at Glengarry, the same community hit hard by the 2024 parvo outbreak that killed 18 dogs. Residents will be able to access free wellness checks, vaccines, parasite control, and other basic services right on site.
We're following up this year with that same population to make sure that their vaccine boosters are done and to make sure that those dogs are protected, as well as address other infectious diseases that can be prevented with vaccination in cats as well.
We're really, really excited about this. And as Lynette was saying, we see this as a long-term partnership that we hope to provide in years to come.
Service dates and neighborhood schedules are expected to be released in the coming weeks. Partners believe the program will improve animal health, reduce shelter surrenders in some of the region's most vulnerable communities.
The statistics are 90% of young unvaccinated dogs will not survive a parvovirus infection. So this will help to prevent diseases like that in the future that can be easily prevented by vaccines, and identifying early on if there's some concerns and giving some education too for how people can properly set up a relationship with a veterinarian, how they can access affordable care and provide their pet the best chance at a long and healthy life.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Disney is making a massive move into the world of artificial intelligence, announcing a $1 billion investment in OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT and the viral video tool Sora. As part of the deal, OpenAI gets permission to use more than 200 iconic Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars characters in AI-generated short videos. Fans will be able to create their own moments with these characters, and some of those clips could even make their way onto Disney+. It's a 3-year agreement, and it does not include actor likenesses or voices. This would strictly be about the characters. Disney says the partnership helps them build new tech for storytelling while keeping creator rights and safety at the forefront. Lots of reaction today after a Conservative MP crossed the floor to join the Liberal Party, now on the brink of a majority government. A blow to the opposition and leader Pierre Poilievre ahead of next month's leadership review. CTV's Judy Trin has the latest reaction in Ottawa.
To our newest member of the Liberal Party, Michael Ma.
Plans for Michael Ma's defection were completed just a few hours before the Prime Minister announced it. Sources say the stealthy move was initiated by Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson, who represents a neighbouring riding.
Wow, such a big welcome.
Few saw it coming. Ma was dancing at the Conservative Christmas party a day earlier. He even posed with Pierre Poilievre for photos. On X, his secret Santa, Conservative MP Kurt Holman, says he gave Ma an Amazon Fire Stick and wants it back. Poilievre says Ma is letting down the people who elected him to fight for an affordable future and will have to answer to them. Ma was elected this past April in Markham Unionville. In the riding, nearly 60% of residents are from China or South Asia. Regional Councillor Joe Lee campaigned for Ma. He says many constituents support Carney's recent moves to improve relations with China and India.
By and large, they think the Prime Minister make a good move.
This follows Chris d'Entremont's floor crossing in November. The Carney government is now at 171 seats, just one away from a majority, and are open to courting others.
They realize, like we do, that we're in a trade war and that serious solutions are required. And they are required every day to go through this charade of obstruction. That is a soul-destroying experience for many Conservative members of Parliament.
In the new year, there could be as many as 4 by-elections, and they're not all safe Liberal seats. As for Pierre Poilievre, he'll have to answer questions about the defections when his leadership comes up for review in January. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Utah man charged with killing Charlie Kirk made his first in-court appearance yesterday. Tyler Robinson's attorneys are pushing to further limit media access in this high-profile criminal case. A Utah judge on Thursday heard arguments about the public's right to know details about Robinson's case. The defendant's attorneys say the swarm of media attention could interfere with his right to a fair trial. Prosecutors charged Robinson with aggravated murder in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. They plan to seek the death penalty. Turning now to new images from the estate of the late Jeffrey Epstein. They've been released showing the convicted sex offender with several powerful men, including U.S. President Donald Trump and former President Bill Clinton. CTV's John Venevali-Rao reports.
19 pictures were selected and released by Democratic lawmakers. Images showing Epstein with entrepreneur Richard Branson and film director Woody Allen. A shot of Microsoft founder Bill Gates and one of U.S. President Donald Trump, along with 6 women whose faces were redacted.
These photos were in the possession of the Epstein estate, and so that includes pictures that maybe were sent to Epstein, perhaps he took himself.
There's a photo of Epstein and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell standing with former President Bill Clinton. Epstein posing with former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, and images of sex toys. The Democrats say the House Oversight Committee received 95,000 images from the Epstein estate, and they're going through them.
I think anything that we release is significant. I think people should be able to make judgments on their own as to what they see in these photos. For us, this is about transparency.
All of the men in the photos have long denied any wrongdoing, and some of the images were already public. None of them show underage girls or indicate any criminality. When or where they were taken is not disclosed, but they do raise more questions about Epstein's connection to the rich and powerful. Here, Epstein is seen with Trump. Another photo shows a bowl of novelty condoms with a caricature of Trump's face. Trump was at one time a friend of Epstein, but has denied knowing about his abuse of girls and women. The photos are separate from the Epstein files that the U.S. Department of Justice has been ordered to release by December 19th. Meanwhile, Republicans are accusing Democrats of cherry-picking the images to embarrass President Trump. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, there's a new American sandwich chain in town, and with cross-border tensions still top of mind, we're asking the question, does where it comes from matter? Welcome back. Let's check in now with CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald for a look at the weekend forecast.
Cold with wind chill values in the minus teens, and anticipate some flurries early tomorrow morning before dawn. And of course, with temperatures still a few degrees, even several degrees below seasonal, it's going to be a tough weekend for those who are headed out early, both Saturday and Sunday, unless you're prepared with extra layers. Reach a high of minus 1.2. Our average high is still on the plus side. For today, December the 12th, it's 2.4 degrees Celsius. And with this area of low pressure, the core of it's over northwestern Ontario, but it's sweeping this cold air right across the heart of the Great Lakes proper, with snow from Lake Superior, Lake Michigan through Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, also some lake enhancement there, and eventually streams working over Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. The streams over Huron and even Lake St. Clair could produce snow nearby. Closest bands of significant accumulations lie closer to London, Kitchener, Waterloo. Of course, for anyone venturing north and northeast, 10 to 15 centimeters is possible. Kincardine, Goderich, Southampton towards Wiarton Owen Sound. Overnight temperature projected -4, the low point before dawn tomorrow morning. Actually, could see temperatures get even colder after sunrise, closer to about -6, -7 at 8, 9 a.m. We're going to see warm, then cold again. Just an unusual pattern, the ebb and flow over the next 24 hours. By the afternoon, -5 is projected, and it looks like the winds are going to dominate. Out of the west, sustained at 30 km. With 50 km gusts, it will be windy morning through the midday, early afternoon. Take a look at our 7-day forecast, calling for those flurries before dawn, a cold start, a cold evening, and then cold again, but cloudy instead of flurries for Sunday, a high of -6. Again, our average for Sunday would be closer to +2 on the button. Monday, flurries, -5. Tuesday, looking at cloudy conditions, -3, and then a warm bump. We'll be looking at +5, then +6. Wednesday, Thursday, we'll go from a rainy, snowy, icy mix to steady rainfall between Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, a mixture of sun and cloud and back to colder temperatures. -1 would be seasonal a week from now. That's a look at your weather. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you in a while.
A popular American sandwich chain is now serving up subs in Windsor, but in a city defined by its cross-border ties, it's prompting a simple question about where we choose to eat amid ongoing trade tensions. CTV's Bob Belichico has that story.
It's fresh stuff, and they're quick. That's their commercial, right? Jimmy John, real quick.
Thanks, dude. Residents lined up for a sandwich they've long made a cross-border trip to have in Michigan.
Favorite place every time I go to America is probably the place I'm asking to go to.
It's now here in Canada, and we get to go. We don't have to cross the border, especially now.
We have the master license for Jimmy John's in Canada, and we're absolutely thrilled about it.
When I found out that Jimmy John's was open, I wanted to come and check it out.
Despite having over 2,000 outlets in the U.S., Jimmy John's is still in its infancy stage in Canada. 10 locations are expected to be open by the end of the year. Jimmy John's officially opened their door earlier today here in South Windsor, becoming the latest in a long line of American restaurant chains that are making their way here to the city of Windsor. But they are joining a crowded landscape already filled with Canadian-born franchises like Cora's, Sunset Grill, Boston Pizza, and even Eastside Mario. And with ongoing tariff tensions between Canada and the U.S., I wanted to find out, are people paying attention to whether the restaurants they choose are Canadian or American? Or does it all come down to taste and convenience?
It doesn't matter to me as much. I go to dinner in Detroit a lot with my family and stuff too. When I'm eating in Canada too, I also look for local businesses to support.
It'd be better to support Canadian chains, but overall, I enjoy the quality of the food. That's what matters to me the most.
If I enjoy it, I'll be there. If I don't, I'm not. It's that simple to me. The fight between Canada and the U.S. is bigger and smarter people than me. I'm just here for good food.
According to Jimmy John officials, they are in the fast casual category, focusing on a quick and healthy option to help consumers keep up with their lifestyles.
You get your food fast, but it's healthy, right? So, and the ambience is good.
The more options that are available and the way that the market is changing is allowing more people to meet those health goals when they're out and about.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Canada's main stock index was weighed down by losses in the technology and base metal sectors. In Toronto, the TSX losing 133 points. In New York, the Dow falling 246, the Nasdaq dropping 399. The Canadian dollar up a modest 0.03 Gold gains more than $15 an ounce, while oil loses 16 cents a barrel. Flu season is hitting Canada especially hard this year, and that has sparked an urgent plea from one Ontario Children's Hospital looking for family doctors to help treat the spike in cases. CTV's Abigail Beeman now has more on flu cases across the nation.
Samantha Kingsbury experienced what Ottawa's Children's Hospital is calling unprecedented volumes in the ER, stretching capacity to the limit.
There's a lot of people inside. Seems like there's a lot of coughing.
The hospital is extending hours at a clinic, and its CEO is asking family doctors and pediatricians to prioritize after-hours and urgent appointments for children with respiratory symptoms, but no one at CHEO would do an interview about it.
We're prepared for it, and in fact, our family health organization will be open during Christmas to New Year's every single day, at least 8 and sometimes 12 hours a day, and many family doctor practices are doing the same thing.
Across Ontario, there are more than 7,000 total cases, 43% of them reported last week.
We still know how to prevent it and how to manage cases. It's just at a population level, likely going to be a tougher year.
In Alberta, flu cases jumped by 70% last week, with 216 hospitalizations and 3,703 cases total.
That's just the cases that we know. There's a lot more cases within the community as well. So that's not alarming in and of itself.
This Edmonton emergency room doctor says for the average healthy person, if you feel like you were hit by a train, don't head to the ER.
It's the same old story. Get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. If the strain that we picked for this year is slightly off, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the flu vaccine's ineffective. It may be a little less effective.
I haven't had the flu in many years, so I'd say it's doing its job.
I got mine in November.
With the flu season off to an earlier start, experts are reminding people about etiquette around holiday gatherings. Cough or sneeze into your sleeve, don't reuse napkins, and of course, if you're sick, don't go. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Police in the Kitchener area say they've recovered thousands of dollars worth of stolen plushies. They're called jelly cats, and as CTV's Karis Map reports, they've become quite a hot commodity during the holidays.
This is the video Waterloo Regional Police used to help identify the suspect in a jelly cat crime. A business in Kitchener reported $2,000 worth of the stolen plushies in October and December.
A female suspect entered the store, selected numerous jelly cat stuffed toys, concealed them, and exited the store.
The investigation eventually leading police to a discovery at the suspect's home in Guelph.
We recovered 140 stuffed toys, and we were only looking for approximately 30 from our region,
leaving them with some lingering questions.
Investigators have reached out to services across the GTA and locally to determine where some of these other stuffed toys have come from to prosecute in those jurisdictions.
The toys, which are a social media sensation, have become a hot commodity.
They were traditionally for babies and kids. It was a very popular baby shower gift, but we've seen an explosion in their popularity, so all ages. Teens, 20s for sure, and grown women, everybody.
That explosion happened roughly 2 years ago when the company celebrated its 25th anniversary. Now, staff say it feels like a full-time job to keep the shelves stocked.
We have social media requests, phone calls, emails, every day people looking for specific jelly cats.
And the plushies can be pricey.
They do range in price from $30 to over $1,000, depending on the piece. We have a gigantic whale, which is over $1,000. Now, that is rare.
Which is another reason police were able to monitor the Kitchener crime.
A number of these toys were being sold on an online platform.
With the holidays approaching, the Jellycat craze is only intensifying.
The holiday drop for the Jellycat collection was mayhem. Really special, rare ones were released, and we were sold out of styles within minutes.
Every holiday season, we do see a rise in thefts. Supply and demand plays a large role in these incidents.
Incidents police are hoping to stop so the toys don't end up in the wrong hands. Kara Smapp, CTV News, Kitchener.
It was a tough night at the office for the Windsor Spitfires. Tight game against Kingston across the first period and a half, but heading into the third, Windsor was down 2 goals. The Spits fighting hard, however, scoring the only goal of the final period, but they were unable to tie up the game with another goal. Final score 4-3. The Spitfires are back on the ice Sunday when they visit the 67s in Ottawa. And Gary is back with a final look at weather.
Enjoy the weekend. Extra layers recommended, right? Fleece and sweaters underneath those winter coats, parkas, hats and gloves, scarves, and long johns. Good idea. When we look at this particular board, you'll note temperatures well below seasonal through to at least Tuesday. Average high as of today about +2. By the middle of the week, it'll just be above the freezing mark. And you'll note Wednesday and Thursday, we do warm up a bit of a surge, and then it gets right back to more seasonal values by Friday. For the weekend, tomorrow morning, blustery, windy, flurries early before dawn. And those winds could be in the 40s to 50s range. Watch out for icy conditions the middle of next week. We are cold for the next few days before we warm up. It won't last. Wherever you are, enjoy your weekend and your weather. Good night.
Thank you, Gary. Jumping out of a plane with a parachute is already an activity for thrill seekers, but there was an extra adrenaline rush in Australia when a skydiver survived a heart-stopping incident. Take a look at this. The skydiver, thousands of meters in the air, was pulled out of the plane when their reserve chute opened by accident, leaving them caught dangling in the air on the wing of the plane. In slow motion, you can see how the skydiver was flung backward, knocking another jumper with a parachute into free fall. What happens next is partly why Australian authorities released this video.
Although not mandatory at the time of the accident, the parachutists had a hook knife attached to their chest strap.
The video then shows the skydiver using that hook knife to tear through the parachute lines, cutting enough to free themselves from the plane and, once clear, safely deploy their other parachute. My goodness. That is your news for tonight. Don't forget, ctvnewswindsor.ca for news anytime. Have a wonderful weekend.